Welcome YouTube. In this video I'm going to talk about some of the biggest lessons I've learned flipping cards in 2025. We're looking at the sales of cards of mine on Alt, and this is just a sample selection. It doesn't show everything I've sold because I sell a lot on COMC and Fanatics and PSA using the Vault. But this will give enough examples to illustrate some of the lessons I've learned. So here in red you can see the loss based on what I paid for the card. So this card I paid $67 and it sold for $21 and I'm getting paid out $22. So the loss percentage is over 2/3, and in dollar value it's $44. And the lesson here has to do with prospecting. So Mattis Buzelis was a pretty hot prospect during the off season, and this is a card that I bought during the off season. He's not putting up huge numbers. I mean, he's still putting up highlights a lot, but he's not putting up huge numbers. He's certainly not the kind of player right now that would be an all-star selection this year. So it might just be that it takes him a little bit longer to mature as a prospect. He still shows a lot of potential, but I think the lesson here is just prospecting in general. So investing in a young player and speculating that he's going to play well that year. There's another lesson baked in here too, which is that you might be able to make this investment work if you could hold this card for a long time, but sometimes you're forced to sell if you get tight on cash flow. So the second lesson would be managing your cash flow. And when you don't manage your cash flow, you're forced to send card to auctions to generate revenue to pay your credit balances. And sometimes those investments are not mature and you have to force the sale prematurely. And so I think this card, probably $21 is pretty low. Like I'm fairly sure you would probably be able to get more than $21 for this card at some point. It's just that I mismanaged my credit and cash flow and was forced to send a bunch of cards to auction to try to get some cash coming in. So moving on to the next card. So you can see this Buzelis here, $346 loss. That's a ginormous. $500 card sold for $150, and I'm getting $159 for it. I could have accepted an offer on this card for $300 or $400, and I was holding out, trying to get back what I paid for it. So that's a lesson in itself, is getting stuck on what you paid for a card instead of getting what you're able to get for it. And in the end, I lost another $150 or $200 compared to what I could have accepted on the offer. The other lesson in this card is buying a card right when it comes out. So this was one of the first PSA 10s on the market when they were selling for like 600 something, and I thought I got a good deal at 500, but actually I didn't, because this was before the price had leveled out. So the price is always a little high when the cards first come out, and then they kind of level out. And so I probably could have got this card for $300 if I had waited a month or two, and that's kind of where they plateaued around $300. This is still, again, the same point as before. I could probably get more than $150 for it, but it's again the issue with the cash flow. And then I want to talk about this Joel Embiid card too here. This one is the lesson for the Joel Embiid cards, and there were a bunch of these for me this year, is to be careful buying an injured player, expecting that those prices are going to come back when the player returns. So I bought a bunch of Embiid cards in the off season when he was injured, expecting that when the season started back up again and when he started playing again, those prices would go up. And surprisingly, like 9 out of 10 of the cards that I've bought of Embiid, and I've bought like thousands of dollars worth of Embiid cards, almost every single one of them is selling for less, and often like quite a bit less. Like this one is a third less than what I paid for them, even though he's now playing and playing pretty well. Like he's still getting back to full-time status. Like he's not playing every game and he's not playing 40 minutes a game, but like he'll put up pretty good numbers for 30 minutes. I think he had like a 40-point game maybe recently. He looks good. Like he lost some weight. He looks athletic. He's moving around well. So it was a bit of a head scratcher for me, but like this PSA 10 here, paid 60, sold for 28. So lost half my money on that one. So the lesson there is, don't buy an injured player thinking that when they come back their prices are going to go back, because here Embiid is back and he's playing pretty well. And he's still selling for less than he was before. Now this is a major loser, this Iamaleava. Paid $124 for this card, and it sold for $10, so I lost almost everything on that one. And the lesson with Iamaleava, same thing with these Malachi Nelsons and these Iamaleavas down here too, were big losers. And it's similar to the Booz Ellis, it's just prospecting in general. So Iamaleava was pretty hot prospect 2 summers ago and going into the football season. And that's when I was buying him with the idea that his performance would make the cards prices go higher. And the lesson is that you don't buy that's when you would sell the card, would be when the prospect has a lot of hype going into a season or something. That's when you sell. That's not when you buy. And actually right now would be a good time to buy if you were prospecting in Iamaleava, because this is a $10 factory sealed autograph card, and if you think he's gonna do well next year with UCLA, you would buy it now and then sell it going into the season instead of buying it going into the season, which is what I did with those. And you can see this Malachi Nelson is another one. I lost $80 on that one. Same story, just prospecting, hoping he would play well, and then he didn't play well, and so there's the loss. You can see some more Embiids here. Similar with Brandon Miller, it's just prospecting. De'Aaron Fox, too, that were just prospecting, thinking that with the playing with Wembanyama and being on the Spurs, that his prices would go up a little bit, and surprisingly they're actually down, which doesn't make any sense to me. But it's just, I think, speculating and prospecting is the issue there. Again, with Brandon Miller. The loss with Giannis here is probably just having to sell something before, like again, for cash flow, instead of just sitting on it, having it listed at buy it now for $100. His prices might go up a little bit if he gets traded to the Knicks or something like that. So those were some of the big lessons. Just going through some of the sales here. Some of the big lessons this year. Prospecting, cash flow issues, injury, betting on a player for injury like this Tatum. I paid $104 in the offseason in the summer. I just got rid of it at 110 and still lost $10 on that. And you would have had to hold this card for over a year to try to make a little bit of money, like if he came back next year and his prices went up a little bit. And I don't know if it's worth it to try to make $10. Mikal Bridges was another one that I speculated on when he joined the Knicks, and I lost money on pretty much every single Mikal Bridges card that I bought, which is surprising because he plays pretty well for the Knicks. So I guess he's just not a main guy. He's kind of more like a role player. And then maybe to end on a high note is just sticking with what you know. So the Jordan Stickers is a card that I typically do well with. There was another one up here somewhere. There's this one here. That was a small gain, but a gain nevertheless. And then this one here, another $50. But just sticking to what you know, and for me that's the Jordan Stickers, and trying to stay in your lane. And I think when you try to do too many things, like here's another Booz Ellis loser, especially when you try to do too many things and you spread yourself too thin, then you have to send cards to auction and take losses on them instead of sitting on them and making your sales at buy it now for decent prices. Like this is a fixed sale price. I got a decent profit out of it. Fixed sale prices, you can get your money's worth and be happy with it. Like you make a little profit here on these cards when you sell them at fixed sale price, and you can make a little bit of a profit. But when you have to send stuff to auction because you need cash flow, that's when you're probably looking at losing some money. Another thing that usually does well is arbitrage. So like this one here, I made $100 on the Luka. If you can buy it for cheap at auction and relist it at buy it now, but then you just have to be patient and don't spread yourself too thin for cash flow so that you're forced to make sales that are not like a good time to sell, like the Booz Ellis cards here that we saw earlier.